new acrylic paints in the house. So I have some new acrylic paints here. Some of you who follow me on Facebook and other places may already know that I had recently found a new gaming shop that has a huge selections of brands of model paints. These are pretty expensive considering the size. They're tiny. They run usually somewhere around like $3 to $4 a bottle, depending on where you go. These here. But I couldn't resist getting one of each brand, although they did have a couple more there that I didn't see until I was checking out, but I already got enough. So, the great thing, I found a bunch in a clearance bin. As you can see, the blue all over this. These were like $1 or $2 off a bottle. They were brand new bottles. The only reason that they were in the clearance bin is because they had one blue leak in their shipment, so it just made everything ugly. So I was so excited about that. I also found a couple more in another shop in a clearance bin for like $1, and that reminds me, I'm missing one here. Hang on. There it is. There's the other one. I found a bunch of those in the clearance bin. This was a new one. The clearance bin ones were like mostly used and some were dried up, but if you just put a little bit of flow improver in it or distilled water, it just brought it back to life. So I scored on those as well. Although they didn't have that many colors. Anyway, so I've had a chance to play around with these. They're all very similar in the way they cover and all that, except for this one. This is an airbrush version of the Vallejo. This is actually the one, if you watch one of my previous videos towards the end, this is the one I was actually looking for when I had gotten the Vallejo model colors. The model colors are similar to all of these. This is the airbrush one that's actually more liquidy for your airbrush. And these are all really great. They have amazing coverage. They go on so smooth. Similar to like Liquitex Smooth, but they dry matte. So they're really great. I can't say enough great things about them. I love them a lot. This one I happened to stumble across in Michael's. I've never heard of the airbrush paints by Testors Acrylics. So I grabbed a couple of bottles of these. I'm not sure yet. The colors themselves are kind of lackluster. They're kind of just bleh. Like they don't have any like pizzazz to them. But they're awesome at just dropping in the airbrush and going. Great consistency. I'd have to say they're similar consistency to probably the Grex that I showed in another video. I kind of would say Createx, but I think Createx is a little thicker than this. This is easier to just drop and go in the airbrush. But anyway, let's get on with it, and I will show you the consistencies of these. Alright, so first up is the Testors. Oh, it'd be nice if I actually... As you can see, I haven't used this color yet. This is apparently light brown, but it's like almost pinkish. Well, I guess it's a light brown after you mix it up. Okay. You can see pretty liquidy, a drop and go airbrush type color. They're a little transparent. It says opaque, but I mean they're more opaque than like transparent colors, but that's the consistency of that one. Now the thing with these little bottles, this one's okay because it's the airbrush one, it's not too bad, but the other bottles of the thicker paint, you really have to mix them up, shake them up really well before you use them, otherwise it settles, so you have all the clear, what do you call it, like the flow stuff that's in it just rises to the top. So when you spread it out, you're just putting all that on your palette, and it's like not thing. These are, look how like this is so rich. These the Model Air Vallejo ones. I love this. It's really nice. I have to get more of these. You know, the downside is that they're such small bottles and they're kind of pricey, but I mean it's worth it, as you can see. The opacity is really nice. The consistency is thin. Like that's tough to get a really good opacity with a thin consistency. So these are really, really great. Next up, we have the Army Painter War Paints. These are the ones you have to shake up really good, and I've been shaking this one for a few minutes before I started. So, oh, that's pretty good. Okay. can see it's kind of thin, but still a little thicker than the Model Air. Again, good coverage, and you can see how vibrant the color is. Next up is the MSP Bones paint. I believe these are by Reaper Miniatures. It's their brand of paint. The bones are actually a type of miniature. They're plastic minis, which they're really cool. They're like a rubbery type plastic. It's a really good price point, and they're fun to paint. Although they're kind of, if you get one that's kind of like wonky, it's not easy to put back the way it was. Anyway, this is about acrylics. This one is actually a little thicker than the, what did I use? Than the Army Painter ones. This is actually kind of a nicer consistency. Really smooth, but slightly thicker. So we're kind of like going up in thickness right now, which was not intentional, but it looks like that might be the case. Next, I've also never heard of these before until I saw them at the game shop. Formula P3, another type of gaming paint. The cool thing about these bottles is they have this little thing in the back that dripping all out over the cap when you open things, which is cool. But I also kind of like to dip my brush in there, but you just gotta make sure your brush is clean so you're not like getting any, other paint in there. These slightly thicker than those, but I mean, look at that! Like, oh my goodness, look at that coverage, look at that color. That's just amazing. I like the P3s a lot, and I've never even like heard of them before this. So those I will be getting more of. I mean, the tough thing about those two in the bottle is they're hard to airbrush because you have to, get them out of the bottle, put it in the airbrush. But I use such little amounts that I can just take it out with a brush and add it directly to the airbrush with some airbrushing medium. Next is the Citadel. These are fairly well known. I've always wanted to try one of these. The one gaming shop by me, theirs usually always look so dried out, so I never trusted giving them a try, considering how expensive they kind of are. But this new gaming shop that I found, they look all fresh. So another one with that kind of cap. And again, really nice. Similar to the P3, I would say, but the P3 actually has really a nicer coverage and a little bit thicker. So these are this one's probably more similar to the other ones in those little dropper bottles, but the P3 by far takes the cake, I think. And that's those. So hopefully this was helpful in showing you my new paints. I've been using these for hand painting a lot. I've used some for airbrushing, and they work well for both things. So I would highly recommend those if you can afford to grab a few. I mean, if you're doing traditional models, this is probably not going to last you all that long. I do, mostly micros and stablemates, so I mean, I guess these would be more bang for my buck than it would be for someone who works at a larger scale. But I mean, the quality is just so high that it's worth it, I think. But anyway, those are those, and hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.